Hello everyone and welcome back. Wish you all a very happy new year. This is Priyadarshini this side and I'm a design team member for Tubby Craft, and I'm really happy and excited to share my first video this year. And I have made a mixed media canvas using stencils and ink pads from Tubby Craft. So before we dive into the video, remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for notification. For my mixed media base, I'm using this stretch canvas. The size of this canvas is 5 by 7 and I will be applying a thick coat of white gesso. Gesso acts as a primer, and the white gesso will also help us enhance the colors when we add. After applying a thick coat, I will just let it air dry for a while. After the gesso is completely dry, I am using scalloped clouds stencil along with mixed media paste. Here you can see I have actually turned the stencil over, so the clouds over here, when I turn it, it looks like a little bit like waves, and I decided I will want to use it like this. And I'm applying a generous amount of mixed media paste here, and I just let it dry for a while. And then I'm using this cracked stencil, and I'm using crackle paste here. I'm just going to randomly apply this paste and I will just let it dry. So after it dries, you can see a really beautiful cracked effect on the canvas. After the pastes are completely dry, it's now time to add all the pieces together and start layering them up. For this, I will be using this heavy gel medium, and first I'm applying this cotton gauze here. I'm using a paintbrush to pick up the gel medium here, and I will just start adding all the pieces together layer by layer. So the reason for adding this gauze piece is I wanted to have some more texture to the base. That's why I'm adding the gauze piece. I'm just trimmed out the excess, and this piece is some old playing cards that I had at home, so I just store them and I'm just adding them here. I'm only using heavy gel medium. If you don't have heavy gel medium, you can always use any other really strong adhesive that you have, or hot glue gun. And these are paper clay pieces. I just flatten them out and then I just store them, and I'm just adding them here. It is going to take a while for them to kind of stick to the base, because the stretch canvas is there and there is no support beneath it, so it will just take a little bit of time. And here I'm just adding some pieces of natural mica that I had in my stash. All these pieces will just add little more texture to the base. Added this plastic piece that I had, and then now I'm bringing in this gear chippies also. And finally, to finish, I will be using the molds that I made. So if you could see, the molds that I'm using here are all seashell molds, and I used M seal to make these molds here. I'm applying a really thick coat of gel medium because I want them to adhere to the pieces really well. I will just add them randomly here. I'm just layering them one on top of the other. After all these pieces have completely dried, I'm just going to add little bit of this sand paste for more texture. Now it's time to add the final coat of white gesso here. So we can then add the colors. You can see I'm adding white gesso to the canvas also, because I added mixed media paste and crackle paste. I want the entire base to be covered with white gesso again, and then once this layer white gesso layer is also completely dry, I will start adding the colors. There are four shades of blue with Tubby craft: aqua blue, turquoise, Chinese, and Persian blue. And for this project, I will be using Chinese blue. I am using my ink blending tool and I'm picking up the ink and I am generously applying it over my base here, and I'm spritzing it with some water. I tried adding them to that acrylic block and using a paintbrush, but still I preferred using a blending tool because the colors they kind of added out really well. And after every time I add the ink, I will be immediately heat setting this, and I repeated this process about 3 to 4 times to get a really vibrant look. Two shades, magenta and lilac violet. I wasn't sure which one I was going to use, but then I decided I'll go with lilac violet. And I'll be using the blending tool again here, and I'm just adding little bit of it on not throughout the base, but just here and there, and I'm just spritzing water. I'll be repeating this step two times because I want a little bit of the purple also to be seen here. So for the smaller areas, I'm just dabbing some of the ink on my acrylic block, spritzing it with water, and I'm just adding them here. And you can see once I spritz water how beautifully they move, and they don't just stick only to the grooves of the mold. I'm adding ink, I'm just going to be heat setting them, and then I use little bit of aqua blue ink and whatever lilac purple was remaining on the brush, and I'm just going to just add little bit very light handedly, so there is a little bit of color to the background. And if you see the canvas, the entire canvas is not full of color. I have a little bit of white also shown here. I'm using olive green to add a little bit of depth to the grooves here. I'm picking it up with a little small paintbrush that I have, and I'm just adding them to the grooves. After this is completely dry, I'm bringing in mustard yellow ink, and I'm using another ink blending tool, and I'm just picking up little bit of the ink, and I'm going to go very light handedly and do a dry brush technique. You can see how beautifully the ink actually blends here, and it sits on all the um, molds that I've used here, and you can actually see the texture also. Now for the last step, I'm just going to again bring in some white gesso, and I'm just doing dry brush technique here. I'm using a flat brush here. This I'm doing because I want a little bit of highlights, and I want the color also to be a little subtle here. And when you see closely, you can see how beautifully they highlight. You all enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a thumbs up and a comment below, and remember to share the video also. And if you have Tubby inks with you, I really recommend that you try making a mixed media project like this using them, because the results are going to be just amazing. They are such versatile ink pads, and one of my favorite ink pads as well. And I hope I make more projects like this soon to share with you all. So I will see you guys again with another video. Until then, take care, bye bye, and remember to subscribe to the channel.